Shalom, giving all praises to my Heavenly Father. His name is Yahweh by Yeshua, Yahweh Shai, by Yeshua Mekah HaKadosh. Double honors to the apostles and the elders that were well. Peace, many salutations to y'all this toiling and this truth. You know what I'm saying? Now, just been listening to everything that's going on, gathering various informations about the tariffs and Trump's, strategy when it comes to tariffs. You know, if you're listening to liberal channels like MSNBC, you know what I'm saying? They're more against, well, seemingly, it's, that we all know they're controlled, right? But they're seemingly against Trump's tariffs because it says it could put, these various, it could put the U.S. and these various countries in a recession, which they are true. That is something that's true. These tariffs can slow down the economy, but you have to understand it's not going to slow down the economy as much as it would America's allies. Now, if you've been paying attention to the Asian market. The Asian market, man, took a dive. There's some reports that's saying that, the market was falling so low that they actually have to basically cut off power to the stock market to stop it from dropping so low. Okay, and the reason why is Asia, now we think about Asia, think about China along with these various Asian countries. They export a significant amount of goods here to the U.S. You know what I'm saying? It shows you the power of the American dollar. With the strength of the American dollar, America is able to dictate contracts. Okay? So that they're able to dictate labor. You know what I'm saying? Not only labor, but manufacturing. Okay, so, for a long time, these countries have been, at the grips of America. And what we've been seeing as of lately is surging AI. And that's a key component, That's a very key component because we know that AI, which is artificial intelligence, that's the technology that they are going to utilize to control the world. You have to think with artificial intelligence, machinery is going to be the new manufacturing. So when Trump says, hey, it's going to be new manufacturing, we're going to be bringing back manufacturing to the U.S., well, that's true, but it's not traditional. It's not going to be traditional manufacturing. It's going to be AI. You got to think about what Stargate is. Stargate, was the manufacturing or the production of AI. And various factories are going to be built here in Texas. Okay. So Texas, they're trying to make Texas a hub for AI. That's why there's a lot of countries. Well, let me refine that. There's a certain country that's in the U.S. that's making certain noise, that's buying up a lot of land in Texas, which is where China. Okay. So there's a race for AI. There's a race. There's a race to, who's going to control it. You know what I'm saying? Who's going to be over that new system that we always talk about, which we know the system is coming because we know prophecy, Revelation 13 and 16, man. We know all this because this beautiful word of ours that was given unto us by the apostles, the bishops on down, man. And it's a blessing to be here and a blessing to see these things because clearly it's happening. The Apostle Tahar said something very interesting, and I understand it more so not, that the mark of the beast has to come Dang, I messed around and said it. But the mark of the beast has to come before what? It has to come before war. And I get it. I see why. I definitely see why. You know what I'm saying? Because the third war was going to be fought over who's going to control that AI. Which embodies biometrics that we read about in Revelation, the 13th chapter. I'll grab this for you guys. Because biometrics is basically measuring somebody based on their body. Like, say, for instance, eye scanner, fingerprints, you know what I'm saying? Something that's, you know, inserted in you that has all your banking information, medical information, and even likes and dislikes and characteristics, and police records, if you get my drift. Okay? Revelation 13 and 16, and he causes all both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads. You see that? That's biometrics. Okay? If you look up, Stargate and its mission, one of those is, introducing AI to the body. Look it up for yourself. Okay? This is what we're reading right here in Revelation 16th chapter. Okay? It says, verse 17, and that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark, or the name of the mark, or the number of his name. Okay? So you're not going to be able to buy and sell, save, or except you have that mark. You know what I'm saying? Or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. You know what I'm saying? Which is what? 666. Right? But if you take this certain mark, this charagma, you're bound down to this new system. You're making this man your guide. He's going to know every aspect of your living life. He's going to control your money. He's going to control where you could go, who you could have sex with, who you could talk to. He's going to be your guide. There's going to be a lot of people who's going to bow down to AI. And this is what the fight is about, AI. Okay, so let's go back to this. Now, this website is kind of difficult to read. Let's see here if I can pull it up. This one for you to have it. Well, if you just Google it, it'll come up. I want you guys to have it. It's at the top of your screen. And I don't feel like reading all that. But according to this website, and other websites that I've checked, it says Asian stocks see their worst drop in decades after Trump tariffs. Asia Pacific stocks from Shanghai to Tokyo and Sydney to Hong Kong plunged on Monday by levels not seen in decades as global markets continue to reel from U.S. President Donald Trump's tariffs. The Shanghai Composite was down more than 8% at one point. Hong Kong's Hang Seng dropped more than 13%, and Japan's Nikkei 222 closed down by 7.8%. Moves that one analyst describes in BBC as a bloodbath. European markets too fell in early trading, with banks and defense firms seeing the biggest drops. This follows global slumps from slumps last week after Trump announced new tariffs between 10% and 46% on many countries. This is a blow for Asian manufacturing hubs that count the U.S. as a key market for exports ranging from clothes to cars. Okay, you have to understand this is by manufacturing You know, this is how these Asian countries are stepping into a developed world. You know what I'm saying? What do I mean by a developed world? Well, look it up. Developed, uh, developed country. I say developed world, but I meant developed country. Developed country, meaning, okay, a developed country generally refers to a nation with a high level of economic prosperity, advanced technology, and a strong social infrastructure, often characterized by high GDP, access to quality healthcare and education, and a diverse industrial and sectors, service sector. Okay, you know, and this is what these Asian countries are have accomplished, and well, some have accomplished in a very short period of time. You know what I'm saying? You have to think after prior to World War One and World War Two, Asia as a whole was very behind, bro. They didn't allow Asia and the Asian countries, in particular China, they didn't allow Esau in. They were considered isolationists. So basically, how Jake talked, they fuck with their own day ones only, in a sense. You know what I'm saying? But after World War One and Two, how devastating it was, right? Their economy, their way of doing life was destroyed, and they seen a need to step up their game and technology. Okay, here comes the U.S. You know what I'm saying, with the most powerful um, economy and a monetary system, the dollar, right? Our currency. You know, here they come, and what do? You know, in the 1960s, 70s, 80s, and shit, 90s, they began to, you know, lend China money in trade for cheap labor. And with this cheap labor, China, you know what I'm saying, and these Asian countries were able to, find, very innovative ways to, accommodate the American want. You know what I'm saying? So now fast forward, these guys are still, number one in manufacturing, and we're number one in consumers, you know. But but now they have made advancements in AI, uh, in alternative energy also. Uh, when it comes to electric cars, things of that nature, China is blowing America out of the water, bro. And again, this is a very short period of time, but yet and still, a powerhouse like China is um, still a developing country, or just become a developing country, if you will. Okay, and they still have a large amount of people that are living in poverty. All right, let's check it. Right, check this out. This is AI overview. Why China's economy is rapidly growing, and its influence is significant. It is still generally considered a developing country, so they're not there yet, bro. They're not as grand as China is. They're not on the level of Europe. Europe didn't get hit as hard as China or Taiwan or fucking Cambodia. Get the fuck out of here. They're white. No, just inside joke. Inside joke. Silly though, Salakia. But seriously, Esau's still on top, man. In these Asian countries, what are they doing, man? They're making strides to do what? To put themselves in, to put themselves in the driver's seats, or a power country, or a developed country. Okay, this is where manufacturing is coming in. This is why innovative technology, engineering has came in. AI has came in. because they have taken on the ways of Esau Edom. But even with their endeavors, we know that it's not going to work. They're going to be destroyed just right along with Esau Edom. You know what I'm saying? Despite, you know, the great things they had put forth. Okay? Just one that's better in 2 Ezra, the 15th chapter. Here we go. 2 Ezra 15 and 46. And thou, Asia, thou art partaker of the hope of Babylon. See that? And art the glory of her person. Woe be unto thee, thou wretch. Right? Because they hold themselves out for Esau Edom, man. Because thou hast made thyself like unto her, and hast decked thy daughters in whoredom, that they might please and glory in thy lovers, which they always desire to commit whoredom with thee. Thou hast followed her that is hated in all her works and inventions, thus saith Yahweh, God. Right? So the Asian countries, man, they have followed Esau Edom in his perversion, how he runs the world, capitalism, you know what I'm saying, or socialism. You know, they're both wicked, which socialism ain't nothing but oligarchy. And the oligarchy is basically, there's a small group of people that runs the world, which the same thing here in the U.S., but it's a little bit more so-called liberal or nasty, right? Okay, you know, right? All these are run by the corporations, and this is what Asia is doing now. You know what I'm saying? So the Most High is going to judge Asia like right along with Babylon the Great, and a good way to get judged is to get your ass humbled by your so-called friends, by your really friends, because Europe was with it too. You know what I'm saying? To get put in your place of no, boy. No, Chinchon. Nah, you behind us. That's what Trump did to Asia. Okay? He's slowing them down so that America could be number one in basically AI, bro. All right? Basically the technology that's going to run the MOTV. All right? But back to it. Let's go back to it. Back to it. It says, where do we stop? Let's read up. We stopped. Where did we stop? Let me keep going on. Okay, we stopped here. These European markets. It says European markets too fell in early trading. See that in early trading, yeah, they took a hit, but overall they were all right. With banks and defense from seeing the biggest drops. This follows global slumps last week after Trump announced new tariffs between 10% and 46% on many currencies. This is a blow for Asian manufacturing hubs that count the U.S. as a key market for exports, ranging from clothes to cars. And you see, if you notice, I just got to point this out. See how it says European countries, they fail, the markets fail, but with the banks and the defense firms seeing the biggest drops, man. So there's a lot of things that's going on with this money. Okay, a lot of, they're about to get ready to do away with it. Okay, it says this is a blow for Asia's manufacturing hub that count the U.S. as a key market for exports, ranging from clothes to cars. These include wealthy allies like Japan and South Korea, which face 26% tariffs, as well as developing countries. You see that? Developing countries. You know what I'm saying? You got to pay attention to what Esau Edom saying. They're not on a level. Basically, they're not as well structured as these various Edomite countries, bro. they're esteemed to be like these Edomite countries, but they're just not as developed, and has to do a lot with, what I'm saying, the various wars that these countries were in that really America orchestrated. Okay, Japan was blown to smithereens. South Korea, that's the Korean War, the Forgotten War. Vietnam, people, kids, women, unalived by the military. You know what I'm saying? Which the Vietnamese won that war, but still, it's a very hard war on those people, man. Okay, so they're not as developed because Esau Edom has always had his hand in Asia too, right? Mixing and mingling with the people, you know what I'm saying, and putting all types of and putting all types of hell on these people, man. Okay, that's why they're not developed countries, because Esau bitch ass. But as well as developing countries like Vietnam that are bracing for a 46% levy. Now you have to ask, why is this place getting hit so hard? Vietnam, you know, you know. Well, because it's advancements in manufacturing. Levy, Trump's called the fast growing economy one of the worst offenders. You see that? A fast growing economy. This is also, you better believe they're trying to make pacts and things of that nature with their fellow Asians to get under the grip of America. It says also on that uninevitable lists are Cambodians, Thailand, and China, which will face 54% tariffs in total. Others like Singapore, New Zealand, and Australia have already had a so-called baseline tariff, 10% tariffs, go into effect. Asia is bearing the brunt of the U.S. Tariff hike, while there come to come while there could be some room for negotiation. A new regime of high tariffs is here to stay. Quinn Wong, Asia Pacific chief economist at investment firm Vanguard. Asian economies are also particularly sensitive to fear that a global trade war could trigger a slowdown or even a recession in the U.S. Check this out. The world's biggest economy. That, in turn, would further hurt Asian exports. And this shows you the strength of Babylon the Great. See, when this place goes down, man, people are going to be lamenting because, America's had a lot of these countries make their bread and butter, bro. So yes, they're very much so in league with America. Alluding to these Asian countries. Okay, they're not trying to see this place fall. Yeah, not without an exit plan. China doesn't have a exit plan yet. The BRICS ain't doing nothing, bro. They're not as strong as the American country, the American economy. Or the American currency, I should say. They're not. They haven't even came out with a currency yet. They're just making political pacts with one another. Meanwhile, China, has all types of deals with the U.S. because they're still very much so interdependent with one another because of the strength of the American dollar. Okay, which for now is reigning supreme. All right. So within this place falling, a lot of people are going to be a lot of countries are going to be lamenting. Okay. This is Revelation 18:1. And after these things, I saw another angel come down from heaven, having great power, and the earth was lightened with his glory. And he cried mighty with a strong voice, saying, Babylon the great is falling, and it's become the habitations of devils, and the hold of every foul spirit, in a cage of every unclean and hateful bird. For all nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication, and the kings of the earth have committed fornication with her. You see that? So they laid down with this uh, 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 with this whore, okay? Babylon the Great. Who's been number one in that? These Asians. It says, and the merchants of the earth are waxed rich through the abundance of her delicacies. And I heard another voice from heaven saying, Come out of her, my people, that ye be not partakers of her sins, and that ye receive not her plagues. And this is when were well the elect will get beamed up. Okay? Alright? And get saved out of this place. Alright? It says, For her sins have reached unto heaven, and the Most High hath remembered her iniquities. Right? Reward her even as she rewarded you, and double unto her, double according to her works, in the cup which she hath filled, uh, uh, filled to her double. How much she has glorified herself and lived deliciously. So much torment and sorrow give her. For she said in her heart, I sit a queen, and am no widow, and shall see no sorrow. You see that? So the Most High is going to destroy this place um, for its arrogance, you know, and for its treatment of the true nation of Israel, so-called Negro, Latino, Native Americans, and also how it's ruled the world, man. You know, right here is describing Babylon basically as a whore through the U.S. You know, that's how it's run its business, jumping into everybody's bedroom, bro. You know, getting into everybody's business, mixing mingle with every fucking body, just being a fucking slut. You know. And it's like how actual slut is prideful. This place is prideful because of its relationships. But the Most High is going to take that down. These various nations that they thought that they were always cool with, you know what I'm saying? These other developed countries, like in Europe, they going to come up against this place, man. Okay? And a lot of her lovers, when they see it, like Asia, they're going to mourn. Okay? It's going. If we keep on reading down, that's what it's going to say. It says, Revelation 18:8. Therefore shall her plagues come in one day, death and mourning and famine, and she shall be utterly burned with fire. For strong is the Lord God who judges her, and the kings of the earth who have committed fornication and lived deliciously with her shall bewail her and lament for her when they shall see the smoke of her burning, standing far off for the fear of her torment, saying, Alas, alas, that great city Babylon, that mighty city, for in 1 hour is thy judgment come. So this place is going to be burnt up, you know what I'm saying, by missiles in 1 hour. Okay? It says, and the merchants of the earth shall weep and mourn over her, for no man buyeth that merchandise anymore. You see that? See that? Revelation 18:8. And the merchants of the earth shall weep and mourn over her, for no man buyeth their merchandise anymore. Who is that talking about, Akyam? Let's talk about them goddamn Asians, man. Right? You know? It says, verse 12, it says, the merchandise of gold and silver and precious stones In pearls and fine linen and purple and scarlet. And purple and scarlet, that was something. Purple was sought after. You know what I'm saying? You couldn't just readily get purple. So purple represents royalty. Uh, and silk, right, which is a very precious material. You know what I'm saying? That clothes is made of. Right? You got 100% silk on, man. You doing something. You know, scarlet and all thine wood and all manner vessels of ivory and all manner vessels of most notable wood, most precious wood, and vessels of most precious wood, and of brass and iron and marble, and cinnamon and odors and treat and ointments and frankincense and wine, right, and oil and fine flour and wheat and bread and beast, right? Because a lot of people don't know that a lot of this meat that we have is shipped from other places. A lot of vegans and vegetarians make the argument, man, we got all this meat available for us. Where's all this meat coming from? I don't see all that. There ain't enough manufacturing meat to go around, which is true. That's why we import a lot of meat from South America, Central America, and China. A lot of beef comes from China. You know what I'm saying? I mean China, not China. Excuse me. Canada. Sorry about that. Okay. So these other countries that they're neighboring the U.S., they're gonna lament too. Okay. And these tariffs shows the strength of the American dollar, man. It shows you the strength of this economy. Okay. All right. Back to it. It says, and of brass and iron and marble and cinnamon and odors and ointments and frankincense and wine and oil and fine flour and wheat and breasts and sheep and horses and chariots and slaves and souls of man. So, what employees and what they think this place, what has it done? It's basically um the thinking tank for the world, man. What this place deemed right, the majority of the world, in some aspect or some shape or form agrees with it, whether it be the economy, capitalism, feminism, what I'm saying, perverse sexualities, rights that certain unions should have. They mimic this place, the U.S., bruh. Right? So this place has more power than what a lot of people understands, man. And these tariffs are showing that, right? And a great example of that, what we see going on in these Asian countries. Okay, I'm gonna read a little bit more, um, and that'll be it. Okay. Let's see here. We'll start here. It says Asian economies are also particularly sensitive to fears that a global trade war could trigger a slowdown or even a recession in the U.S., the world's biggest economy. That in turn would further hurt Asian exports. Slumps in mainland China, Hong Kong, and Taiwan were exacerbated as investors caught up with the big fall seen in other markets on Friday as they were closed for public holidays. The Shanghai Composite closed 7.3% lower, and Taiwan weighted index lost 9.7%, its biggest drop on record. The ASX 200 in Australia lost 4.2%, and the Kospi in South Korea ended 5.6 lower. And you gotta think, when you be dealing with big numbers, that little 5, that little 13, 9%, that shit add up, man. You know what I'm saying? It add up. Percentages add up. Think about it. Look, check this out. Let me show you something, man. You got $1 million, right? Times that by, this is what, 13%, 0.3. You see how much money is gone? 130,000 is that gone from a 13% tariff. You know what I'm saying? Now think about it in the trillions. Okay? You see that? Well, 1.06. 96 of your money gone. You got $1 million. 96,000 of it is gone, bro. Think about that, man. Okay. All right, it's just gonna give me a negative, but right. That's how much you left with. That's a substantial amount of money. Yeah, okay, think about that in trillions and in volumes. All right. It says the same Sheen closed the 13.2 lower, 13.2% lower, its biggest drop since 2008. Tariffs are feeding its expectations and around inflation and a recession, said Julie Lee, head of client cover at FTSE Russell, a subsidiary of the London Stock Exchange Group. Goldman Sachs now forecasts that there is a 45% chance that the U.S. will fall into a recession in the next 12 months. Who, from a previous estimate of the up from a previous estimate of 35%, as the investment bank giant lowered its economic growth forecast for the country. Now, if we just read up, if America takes a hit, right, and in the recession, what's going to happen to these Asian countries? Because a lot of people are going to start spending money. A lot of people are going to start saving, right? A lot of people are going to start saving, right? So this is going to mess with what the export number of these Asian countries. Okay. Other Wall Street firms have also revised their recession forecasts in the wake of Trump's tariffs announcements. JP Morgan now sees a 60% chance of a U.S. and global economic downturn. All right, this is negative to the global and Asian economy, especially those small open economies, both in the short term and long term. Countries from Vietnam to Bangladesh has become highly relevant on the U.S. as an export market. You see that? Right? Countries from Vietnam to Bangladesh have become highly reliant on the U.S. as an export market. See that? So the U.S., right? Is very much so in power. Okay, like we just read in Revelation, the 18th chapter, right? These various Asian countries, they depend on America being up and running for business. Consumerism. If that's slowing down, that's going to make their business go low. And it's funny, you know what? This is the spirit that I'm having this conversation, where this sit down. Because today, I'm at Home Depot with my brother. And you had this Asian woman just walk up, and seemingly it looked like she didn't know how to speak English. She wasn't trying to. She was just passing out, flyers trying to ask for money, something she had made. Talking about her, I just need $25. You know what I'm saying? $25. And everybody was shooing her off. I'm like, damn, you an Asian? What you doing out here struggling like this, man? And you never know, man. A lot of these people, a lot of these these nail shops, shit like they might not be doing as good as we think. They might have a badass loan that done, and you know, and they projecting. They see, hey, you know, we got this loan, but we keep spending this money, we gonna be in some trouble. You know, so we got to make some type of money. You know, so people, you know, they probably out there hustling things of that nature because people ain't going to these nail shops, man. You know, you got these Asians out here struggling here in the U.S. How much more so in their own country? Bunch of losers. Inside joke, slocky out there. All right, but seriously though, man, these Asians they're taking a hit. Hey, and call halal Yahweh by your shimmy how shot, man. So fuck them too. You know what I'm saying? You know, fuck them too. They need to get their ass judged too, right? Let's go back to Second Esdras, the 16th chapter. Second Esdras 16:1. Woe be unto thee, Babylon and Asia. Woe be unto thee, Egypt and Syria. Gird up yourself with cloths of sack and hair. Bewail your children and be sorry, for your destruction is at hand. That's right. These Asian countries depending on America, and they got their son. They realize now. They're starting to realize that, hey, you know, these people, you know, don't give a shit about us. You know, and we'll see how they retaliate in the next couple of years or in the next couple of months. Maybe certain pacts will be made with bricks. You never know. But for now, that dollar is king, man. That dollar is king. So I'm going to end it there. Pray it was edifying for you all. Giving our praise to my Heavenly Father. His name is Yahweh by Yeshim, Yahweh Shah by Yeshim, Bakah HaKodash. That honors to the apostles and elders as well. Salutation, y'all, cameras, tool and truth. Shalom.